Okay, here's Ecclesiastes 7. These videos are real short because these chapters are real short. But this one's a little longer, it looks like. Oh yeah, we got a little more in this one. Okay, so we're in a weird spot with Solomon right now. Solomon is very depressed. Solomon has realized that nothing he has, nothing he does, nothing that he is serves any purpose for anyone. It's like trying to reach up and catch the wind. It's worthless. It's a waste of time. It's nothing. He is at a point now, after chapter 6, where it sounds like he's questioning his faith. It sounds like he's questioning what he was given with God. It sounds like he wished he had not become king. It's just an observation. Now, we remember Solomon, he fell pretty hard. But, he's still chosen by God. So I think Solomon's, even though all the stuff that he knows, because you can know too much, and it can be a real detriment to you. All the great men that were very smart, that had a lot of wisdom, they usually didn't have very happy lives. They were usually pretty miserable. Knowledge is power, but knowledge is also a curse. Knowing less is more. The contrast of wisdom and folly. Ecclesiastes 7:1. A good name is better than precious ointment. He's talking about integrity. And the day of death than the day of one's birth. It's because you're being born into this life. You're leaving this rough life. Better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting. For that is the end of all men, and the living will take it to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter. For by a sad countenance the heart is made better. It actually makes sense. Good cry never hurt anybody. And sorrow makes you appreciate things a whole lot more. But it's a hard life. It's a sad life living like that. I know. I've been like that for about almost 15 years. I really have to work hard to be happy. That's just me personally. Seen too many things. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. Now, a lot of you should be able to relate to this. You worry about those who are going to be left behind. You worry about those who are struggling. I get frustrated at it because I want people to be saved, and I want them to get and see what I'm seeing, because it seems like they're right there, but they're not letting themselves step to the other side. And I'm like, come on, you can get this. And I have to remind myself, not everybody's there yet. We're all in our own level of spiritual development. There are people that are above me in their spiritual development that are looking at me wondering why I won't come forward. We're all in our own level of spiritual development together. And it's frustrating. It's aggravating. It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools. That's the truth. What does the proverb say? This reads like Proverbs. The proverb says, the wounds, faithful are the wounds of an enemy. The wounds of an enemy are more faithful than the kisses of a friend. The wounds of a friend are more faithful than the kisses of an enemy. Because that friend is wounding you because he loves you and he wants you to be saved. But the enemy's like, oh, you're good. For like the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of a fool. This also is vanity. Surely oppression destroys a wise man's reason, and a bribe debases his heart. This reads just like Proverbs. The end of a thing is better than its beginning. That's true. The patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. That's very true. Do not hasten. I'm looking at this, I'm like, are we in Proverbs? Do not hasten your spirit to be angry, for anger rests in the bosom of fools. And that's a hard one for us to do away with. This society has taught us to be that way. Do not say, why were the former days better than these? For you do not inquire wisely concerning this. The former days weren't better, but just certain things might have been better. That doesn't mean they were better. I know a lot of people, I wish I could go back in my past and change everything. No, you don't. No, you don't, because the way things went, think about this. The way things went in your life, that was the best that they needed to do. You go back and change it, you'll make it 100 times worse. A lot of people that consider and research time travel realize There's no way we could go back and change everything to make it better. It will always get worse. The way you did it, that's the best that it would ever be. And that's because God is in it. Wisdom is good with an inheritance and profitable to those who see the sun. For wisdom is a defense, as money is a defense. But the excellence of knowledge is that wisdom gives life to those who have it. It's true. It's very true. They still find people that they get lost in the woods. Go out hiking. Yeah, I'm going to go out and hike for a couple hours. Go out in the big trails way out in the woods. They forget that, well, when is sunset? So I need to walk halfway in, but give myself, about a 15 to 30 minute leeway and then walk back out. But they forget. Then they get lost because they are on the trail at night in the dark. Didn't take a flashlight. Don't know what foods they can eat on the ground. All they had was a granola bar and a jug of water. They find them dead under a tree sitting in a field full of food they could have eaten. But yeah, you take a man who knows how to use a knife properly and drop him naked with just that knife, he'll come out clothed, fed, and armed. That's wisdom. Consider the work of God. For who can make straight what he has made crooked? Who can make straight what he has made crooked? Is that relating back to what I said in another video about the life the person is living? If they're stuck in this or addiction, stuck in that addiction, but they're actually able to witness to people and talk to them about Jesus and that because they can relate to them. Is that necessarily a bad thing? Is that a sin for them? What if God made it that way? And it's going to be a blessing to them when they get to the other side. Just saying. There's stuff in the Bible that hints to it. In the day of prosperity, be joyful, but in the day of adversity, consider. Surely God has appointed the one as well as the other, so that man can find out nothing that will come after him. Let me read that again. Listen to what it says. In the day of prosperity, be joyful, but in the day of adversity, consider. Surely God has appointed them one as well as the other. Good times and bad times. Good people and bad people. So that man can find out nothing that will come after him. Did you know that God can take a person and put them in a situation where they'll become the nastiest person you ever want to deal with? And then way down here when they're like 88 years old, the paper boy who's rich in faith puts a gospel tract in their newspaper he delivers at their door every day, every time they have a paper. And one day that old person is standing out there going, "Come here, boy." I mean, this dude's been an ass all his life. "Come here, boy. Why do you keep putting this in my paper?" Well, because everybody needs Jesus, sir. And that innocent child, in his perfect way of looking at the gospel, preaches to that man and leads him to salvation. God set it up so that guy would be that way, so when he got saved, the glory would be better and greater. Not everybody you think is condemned is condemned. Just saying. Sounds like the UPS man is here. Just think about it. Consider it. Consider it. God knows what he's doing. I trust him implicitly. I have seen everything in my days of vanity. There is a just man who perishes in his righteousness, and there is a wicked man who prolongs life in his wickedness. Why do you think some people who are super good, great Christians, they die real young, but then evil people live such a long time? Why do you think that is? Those people did what they needed to do. God took them home. God's given these other people a chance. That makes a whole lot more sense now, huh? Do not be overly righteous, nor be overly wise. Why should you destroy yourself? It's true. That's what being humble comes into play in that. Do not be overly wicked, nor be foolish. Why should you die before your time? Some people get saved and still stay so nasty. They just can't get out of those things. And the Holy Spirit's fighting them and fighting them and fighting them. All of a sudden they have a breakthrough, but then they start to tip back after a little bit. And God takes them out. Nope, I got you. I got you covered. You got where you... UPS guy dropping off medicine. So, I lost my thought. So that person, he gets them there, and then they choose salvation, and they do real good, but then they start to fall back. And they start to fall back to a point where they might actually just walk away. Say, nope, I give up. He snatches them out of there. Nope, I got you. To save them. Happens. Actually, there's a lot in the Bible about it. It is good that you grasp this, and also not remove your hand from the other, for he who fears God will escape them all. Wisdom strengthens the wise more than 10 rulers of a city. For there is not a just man on earth who does good and does not sin. For there is not a just man on earth. Listen to what he's saying. For there is not a just man on earth who does good and does not sin. Just men sin too. Also, do not take to heart everything people say, lest you hear your servant cursing you. This man was wise beyond means. It is very prudent that we listen to what Solomon has to say. Also, do not take to heart everything people say. Don't be offended, lest you hear your servant cursing you. For many times also your own heart has known that even you have cursed others. That's the truth. God looks at our hearts. All this I have proved by wisdom. I said I will be wise, but it was far from me. A lot of people tell me in the comment sections, I can really see that the Lord has anointed you with that. I really disagree, respectfully. I don't think he's anointed me with any knowledge or understanding. I think he's just using me as a conduit to spread the message. That's just me. I don't want the glory. It's awesome, and I love that I'm being used, but that's just where I am. I think about it. But thank you guys for the compliments. All this I have proved by wisdom. I said I will be wise, but it was far from me. As for that which is far off and exceedingly deep, who can find it out? I applied my heart to know, to search and seek out wisdom, and to reason of things, to know the wickedness of folly, even of foolishness and madness. You know, I used to think I want all this knowledge, and when I couldn't get it. When I realized I don't want it, but Lord, I want you to use me, then everything changed. I applied my heart to know, to search and seek out wisdom and the reason of things, to know the wickedness of folly, even of foolishness and madness. So he was trying some stuff out. He was testing things. And I find more bitter than death the woman whose heart is snares and nets, whose hands are fetters. He who pleases God shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be trapped by her. I wonder what woman he's talking about. Here is what I have found, says the preacher, adding one thing to the other to find out the reason, which my soul still seeks, but I cannot find. Now we're getting some hints of what Solomon's problem was. One man among 1,000 I have found, but a woman among all these I have not found. Truly, this only I have found, that God made man upright, but they have sought out many schemes. Notice he wasn't man that became upright. God made him that way. A couple videos back I talked about that. God made us the way we are. He made us to be righteous. He made us to be upright. We didn't do it. Solomon, I think, is realizing a whole lot of things right here. I think Solomon is realizing what we need to realize here. Uh-oh. Just a second, guys. Yeah, my church. Can't get nobody to volunteer to do anything. This is one of the reasons why I left. Can't do anything to volunteer to do anything on the work day because stuff needs to be done. I'm not there doing it all for them anymore. And so now they're adding to the men's meeting work day. That's y'all's choice. I can't physically do it anymore. I tried. Okay, so clearly Solomon is coming to some really interesting revelations here. I don't think he's particularly happy about it. But you know what's going to be awesome? It's going to be able to go and sit with Solomon and talk to him when we get to heaven. To be able to learn things of him and hear insights that he came to. Things that were never written down. I want to sit and talk to everybody. I want to talk to Paul. I want to talk to Peter. I want to talk to everybody. All the apostles. All the prophets. How did y'all start fires back then? So yeah, so much stuff in here. But you know, when you read through this, we're only in chapter 7. We still got 5 chapters to go. And this guy has so many chains hanging on him and holding him down that he can barely get himself up anymore. He can barely pull himself up out of depression. But look at what's happening. He's at his weakest, but look at the inspiration coming out of this because of God. Look at the knowledge and understanding coming out of him and out of this depression because of God. When you're at your weakest, you're strongest because God's in you. All right, guys, that was chapter 7. 5 more chapters. I mean, I'm curious to see where this ends up. Love you guys. See you in the next one.